Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. I am super excited. We continue with the Fantasy Football Impact Series. Today, we're talking about Josh Jacobs' Fantasy Football Value 2020. I got a special guest, analyst of the Raiders. He lives and breathes the Oakland Raiders. His name is Raider Cody. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? I appreciate you for having me on. Looking forward to talking Josh Jacobs, man. That's our all-star right there.
So am I. The guy's an absolute stud. I ended up meeting him last year at the NFL draft, talked to him. Super nice, super humble guy. And I believe he played fantasy prior to being in the NFL. I'm not sure if he does now. I think he did say he did play fantasy football, which was kind of cool. So he understands where we're coming from.
Yeah.
He had a good season last year. I want to talk about him. Again, I've got my point of view on where I'm going to draft him. But again, it's early. ADPs haven't settled in. We've got to see what happens till after the draft, all the moves. And again, we're going to bring you back on. So we're teasing our audience. So make sure you guys click subscribe and make sure you guys leave a thumbs up here, because these guys are taking the time out of their day to try to give you guys more value for your fantasy teams. And again, we want to tease people. We still want to talk about Carr, the wide receiver situation, Hunter Renfrow, who they're going to draft. There's a ton of other stuff to talk about, but today I just kind of want to specifically focus on Josh Jacobs. So let's start off with Josh Jacobs. Do you see an improvement on last year? Is he going to improve? Is he going to get more volume? Is he going to be more of that workhorse? And is the coaching staff, is their mindset set that this guy's our workhorse?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he's the guy. I mean, number 28's the dude. And if anything, our backfield's kind of shrunk. Running back hasn't been a priority. And what's crazy about Josh Jacobs is, I mean, if you watch the film last year, I mean, The dude was there. He was a top 5 easy running back. If he was healthy and had the ball in his hands, he was a top 5 guy. But the issue was availability. And I mean, this is a loophole that I don't know how many people know about. The Raiders kind of kept it undercover for the longest time, but I believe it was like week 6, week 7, whenever we played the Packers. Early in the game, man, he went up and he just cracked a linebacker on the sideline, and it fractured his shoulder in week 7. So he played through this fractured shoulder, and we knew. I mean, there was times even week 3, man, he's playing through illnesses. And then at one point, maybe 4 or 5 games left in the season, he had posted on his Instagram story, been fractured since Green Bay. He had his shoulder iced up. And that's why you saw him coming out, depending on, I don't know what you really focus on with your fantasy outlook. But that's probably why, I mean, when it came to PPR leagues, stuff like that, Josh probably didn't have as big of an impact as some of those, big heads like a McCaffrey or a Barkley, because they're just all over the offense. Jacobs would come out on passing downs because he couldn't. I mean, he struggled he couldn't even take his jersey off. He'd have to cut his jersey off of him. He couldn't pick his hands up above his head. So passing game didn't work. He came out on passing downs, period, because he couldn't pick up blocks. Just his usage next year, period, is going to be huge for Josh Jacobs.
So this is really exciting to hear that. So we're hearing the ceiling there's still a high ceiling for Josh Jacobs. Mm-hmm. Now, I can imagine. So what are the reasons he probably didn't say anything? To me, I'm thinking because he's a rookie. Is it because he's a rookie? He's got to prove myself. I can't go injured now. It's going to affect my future. Why wouldn't he make it more of an issue? If he's struggling with it, why would he say, hey, man, rest me for 3 weeks? Is it because he doesn't want to risk, his reputation and basically hurting his value?
I think he just loves football, man. He's one of those guys that I think it was the first game that he sat. He was like trying to force himself in there on the field. He didn't want to come out. There was a clip. I forget what the first game was that they sat him. It was a ways into the season. It might've been like week 13, week 14 of the season finally, where he came out and sat a couple games. And, I think he missed the final maybe 3 games or something around those few weeks. But I mean, they showed a clip of him and like Mike Mayock giving him a hug on the sideline because he wanted to be in there so badly, but he couldn't play. But hiding the injury wasn't really him. That's just like a Raiders thing. They're so secretive. They don't like sharing stuff like that. Maybe it gives them they think a competitive advantage. They don't want them to know that dude's out there with a fractured shoulder. So, competition's trying to take him out. But it's one of those things, man. Josh Jacobs, high ceiling, but I'm expecting at some point you got to watch in the draft. I expect us to maybe get a compliment for him to take a little bit of load off. So, he doesn't go out there and wreck his shoulder or wreck another body part next year.
Now, we're going to stick on the Josh Jacobs things, but let's go off on a slight tangent. And it's hard to just stick on one topic because there's so much talk about having a Raiders guy here. You got so many questions. But again, this is why you guys got to subscribe, because we can bring them back a ton more times. So I talked to my friend Walter Football. He's got this archaic site. It's phenomenal. He's got a huge user base there. Everyone knows him. And he thinks, I think I read his analysis, he thinks the Raiders are going to get CeeDee Lamb with their first pick. Are you guys targeting a wide receiver first? And could it be CeeDee Lamb? What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at the big three for us. That's pretty much been our entire goal. Ever since the season ended last year, that's all the front office is talking about. Who is going to be their next star wide receiver? You're looking at CeeDee Lamb. You're looking at Judy. You're looking at Ruggs. All depends on what happens. I think that Hopkins trade to the Cardinals helped CeeDee, probably slip past them and maybe fall in our lap. We'll see. 12 is a long fall for CeeDee Lamb to get to, but I think if he's there, he's our guy. So, but we're also looking at corner, so who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You definitely need a receiver. I don't think Renfro, he's good. I heard he's good. I was talking to a couple other guys from Raiders Nation there. Renfro's good, but I don't know about wide receiver one good. More of a complimentary guy, right?
Exactly. Just a complimentary guy, plays in the slot, but dude is a first down machine. So
nice. So Josh Jacobs, man, I am super excited. So again, let's take a look at his numbers here. I'm just going to pull them up myself here, guys. I won't pull them up on the screen here, but I mean, amazing numbers. I see the attempts they're kind of up and down, like week 3 at 10 attempts, week 5, 26. He's up and down. Near the end of the season, I see a couple of games over 20 attempts, including week 9, week 11, week 15. Those games where he had 17 attempts in week 13, only 10 attempts in week 12, and only 16 in week 10. Why? I mean, why are they not just using him over 20 attempts a game? Why the volatility again, especially near the end of the season? Is it that shoulder again?
Part of that, and also, I mean, it just kind of comes down to our scheme. Now, whenever the game is close, or if we're ahead, or if it's the beginning of the game, you can guarantee you pretty much if first down he's picking up a handful of yards, he's back out there. Second down, he's getting the ball again. Now, some of those weeks, I guarantee you, like that where you see maybe 10 attempts, like against probably I'm going to guess maybe the Jets, or a team like the Texans, the teams that we fell behind early with. Yeah. That's kind of where we just abandoned the run. And the issue is that's, kind of what I hit on a little bit earlier. He wasn't out there on passing downs. They probably didn't want him picking up blocks of that shoulder, and he wasn't going to be able to catch the ball much anyways. So he lost a lot of volume when we went down early. And unfortunately, in the second half of the season, we saw that quite a bit. But if you have the numbers pulled up, I bet you can probably pull up those Green Bay numbers. I think the dude, it might have been one of his highest rushing yards of the game of the season, should I say.
Yeah, it was 124. Exactly. Week 7, on 21 carries, 124 yards, 5.9 yards per carry. He didn't get a rushing touchdown, though, that week, though, but the yards were good.
That was with a cracked shoulder, man. So you got to expect from there the rest of the season, that's what you're looking at. The dude played through it. Obviously, you know what those football players do. They'll get injected with whatever they possibly can to take that pain away. But the mobility wasn't there. But, yeah, it's really, honestly, you look at our scheme, this is exactly John Gruden hopefully is now going to get in a state where we don't fall behind. Our defense is getting built back up again so we can stay close in games. And I guarantee you, there was a stretch where we went for like 10 straight drives where we ran the ball on first down every single time. So I think that's going to be kind of just the go-to as long as we're in a good game situation. John Gruden wants that ball in number 28's hands
so you're
as much as he possibly can.
Week 7 is where he busted up the shoulder a bit?
Yep.
So week 5, just to let you know, they came off a bye week. So week 5 was where they played Chicago, where he absolutely destroyed them. 26 attempts, 123 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, equivalent. Now let me pull up because I had standard points up here, man, and he just destroyed them that week. He had 29 PPR fantasy points. So that's what I like to see. So I'm hoping, from what you're saying, we're going to see more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was kind of his peak right there, and I think that's what you're going to get more of. And it's going to be great to have a little bit more of a complementary vertical game, like whenever we bring in that number 1 wide receiver. It's pretty much a given. We're bringing in a guy, and that's just going to open up. And it doesn't matter. We're not – the passing game is never going to be John Gruden's, first go-to thing. His is going to be – we're going to invest – we have this offensive line loaded. You got Rodney Hudson up there. You got Richie Incognito, who's been tearing it up. We have Gabe Jackson with a backup – and Denzel Good, depending on what we do with the interior guard. We got Trent Brown, who will hopefully now, that's another thing, another factor. Whenever Trent Brown was there, which was mainly the first half of the season over there at right tackle, our rushing attack to that right side was absolutely nuts. So bring him back again, get this offensive line healthy. Josh Jacobs, man, 2020 is going to be, I mean, a huge jump for him. Just, hey, it just comes down to health. And even it kind of makes you worry a little bit because he never had this workload in Bama, right? That was kind of, I guess, the
Yeah,
concern
that was a
coming
big
out.
kicker to him. Yeah, but again, this is the problem. People that are worked really hard, the guys that have 300 plus attempts in college, are like, oh, these guys are worked to the ground. That's a good thing. But then again, this guy's getting criticized for not getting enough work, right? So when I talked to him in person at the draft, he said he was good to go, and I
Yeah,
mean,
he is.
he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah. No,
Again,
I agree.
I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I'm not sold on your quarterback, I don't, like Derek Carr. I've said he sucked in the past, and you know me, I talk more fantasy terms, right? I don't think he's the guy. What are your thoughts, real quick? Just to touch on this, we can elaborate on another show, but is Derek Carr going to be the guy to get these guys to where they got to go? I don't believe it.
When it comes to winning football games, I think he can be. It's just a matter of now you're looking at him. It's hard because you're looking at him through a fantasy standpoint. He's never been a fantasy quarterback. Even in 2016, he was having an MVP season. He still wasn't like one of the main guys to have as a fantasy quarterback. He just kind of played by the rules. He's out there running John Gruden's offense. What John Gruden wants him to do, he's going to do. And I will say, since we're on the topic of Josh Jacobs and Derek Carr now, whenever Josh Jacobs started going off on those tears in the middle of the season, right, he's having, big games. After Chicago was the main thing, the coaching staff and Josh Jacobs gave a ton of credit to Derek Carr for making the proper adjustments in the run game. He was basically out there quarterbacking where Josh Jacobs needed to go, making the proper protection adjustments, doing everything he needed to do. So from a Josh Jacobs standpoint, you want Derek Carr to stay there, for a couple years, because really he understands that offense more than anything. He's really getting a full grasp of reading defenses and making the John Gruden adjustments that they want him to do, and putting number 28 in a good position. But, we'll see. Get him a wide receiver out there, keep healthy number 28, keep him in the – I want to see this guy in the passing game. You know what I mean? When you have like a Le'Veon Bell, when you have a Christian McCaffrey, how easy of a job does that quarterback have having Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield? It's absolutely nuts. I think Josh Jacobs can be that guy. In college, he was. We drafted him. Everyone's like, oh, he's only a third down back. He came out and he proved that he was an every down back. It's just his shoulder kept him off the field on third down. So it's going to be interesting to see whenever, we really surround number 4 with weapons. And he's still not going to be that flashy guy. If you're looking for him in a fantasy value standpoint, no. I wouldn't invest my money into number 4 in fantasy football, but I love him on my football team. So I think we just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, he's definitely a good football player, so maybe I have the bias with him when it comes to fantasy. Now, I'm going to dive a little deeper here, and this is a bit of a concern because I always think outside the box. I dig deeper here. So here's my concern. What is, how do I say this? Is Derek Carr on thin ice? If so, could Mariota get the start? What's the relationship with Mariota and the Raiders? Because my concern is if Mariota gets a start, that's going to potentially screw Jacobs' value the same way that Derrick Henry got screwed in Tennessee. So how do you look at this situation now? Could this affect Jacobs and his Derek Carr on thin ice?
That's a good question. The Mariota signing is definitely interesting with the contract. So with that contract coming into play, of course, you don't expect Mariota to sign somewhere without a possibility, if he did have to play, that he wasn't going to make more money. He has a lot of incentives, especially backloaded in the second year of his contract. So it's going to be interesting. Is Derek on thin ice? I don't think so, but it is a production league. So whenever it comes down to it, if we're not winning football games, it wouldn't surprise me if John Gruden decided to move on. You know what I mean? He's done crazier stuff. He's moved on from freaking Khalil Mack. So you're going to tell me if we can't win football games when we feel like we have a lot of pieces, even if Derek Carr's not the problem, the quarterback's always going to get the most blame. It doesn't even matter. So this is, we got to win. We just got to win football games. And, if this isn't a playoff team, then we're just going to keep raising the question, is Derek Carr the guy? So hopefully this is the year, where we see all the pieces put together again. And he starts climbing back out to the quarterback that he was. I love Mariota. And I love, kind of his, introduction interview. It wasn't with the Raiders. It was with some random radio. I forget who it was. Some radio station. And he, said first and foremost, this is Derek's team. But I can guarantee you, he's going to be ready. If he needs to play, he's going to go out there and play. But he's a competitor. And I know he's also going to be a guy that's going to be there to support our starting quarterback, even when he's just standing on the sidelines. So I'm just going to kind of go out on a limb. I think we probably have one of the best quarterback rooms total, right now. If our starting quarterback went out, we have the best available backup So I'm excited for it. I don't really see, with the style that John Gruden runs in his offense, this short passing game, West Coast offense, if Mariota can pick that up, which hopefully he can, if he ever has to get in the game, hopefully he's ready to just run it. He's not going to get really any reps, until like late in the offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see another guy try and pick up the system.
Yeah, maybe you're a little biased, but I'm going to disagree. It's nice with the quarterbacks. I think they're two slightly above par quarterbacks. I don't think they're outstanding. The nice thing is, though, that you had a guy that was a starter and is well above par as a backup. That is a good situation to be in. Again, I'm not really sold on these quarterbacks. Again, my mind, you may be biased to your team.
I'm totally biased.
I may be biased to fantasy football. We need somebody off the street, a real fan off the street, or someone who's not affiliated to come in and dive in. But there's some bias involved here. To me, again, I kind of have a hate on for players that are not fantasy relevant. And again, I don't hate them personally. It's never personal. And some people say, "Oh, why'd you say my player sucks?" Like I ripped into Carson Wentz, right? And again, the guy falls apart in here when it comes to playoff time or when they need him the most. He's always hurt. So I ripped into him. Eagles fans lost it. That's a whole other story. So, but a lot of my stuff is fantasy kind of relevant. I know when some people take it too personally. So.
No, I get you. And hey, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm completely biased. It's one of those things I look for the best and hope for the best out of our team, but I am going to always, exploit and look for the things that are going to be, improved on. I'll leave it up to you to kind of, tell me the things that are going to hurt us. And I can definitely agree with you. There's weaknesses out there with Derek Carr. There's weaknesses obviously out there with Josh Jacobs that was coming in injured,
I'm scared,
it's stuff like that.
I'm scared of
that.
No matter what receiver you get, I feel the receiver is going to suffer because of Derek Carr. I don't know if Derek Carr can do it. Like he's had Martavis Bryant, for example. And I know Martavis was going downhill, but he was great with Big Ben. He had those big flashes. He did nothing with Derek Carr. So my concern is, I don't know. That's what scares me when it comes to that. Hopefully he turns over a new leaf. He becomes this phenomenal guy and they do well. They're a well-balanced overall team. They've got the running back. They need a receiver. Carr's got to get in the groove, and I think you could have something special if it all clicks this year. Yeah,
it's all about finding that, I guess, that continuity with continuity with him and John Gruden. That's the big thing because, like I said, he's out there running John Gruden's offense pretty much exactly how he wants. They talk about it all the time. He's making checks, thinking in the back of his head, is this what John Gruden wants me to do? Is this the play that John Gruden wants me to go? And what's weird is too one of his biggest. It's funny how we jump so far off topic into Derek Carr, but it's the biggest thing right now with Raider fans. But it's crazy how much whenever John Gruden first came in, how the throwaways started happening. I forget what it was. One of the first off seasons, he had made the comment. If the play's not there, don't try and make too much happen.
Right.
They'd rather kill the play. That kind of faded away, but we still keep seeing the throwaways. We still keep, if the play's not there, he's digging it in the dirt. And there's a part of me that gets that, but then there's also a part of me that wishes come on, John, are we going to push this guy to let him go out there and try and make plays again like he was doing in 2016? It's like they were afraid of his health because that was what had got him hurt. That's how he broke his leg was he tried to extend the play, tried to break a tackle and a sack, and he broke his leg. So I don't know if we're kind of playing this game like, hey, we don't want Derek to get hurt, so we're going to run this.
I hate the preservation mindset because I think the Rams did it last year with Gurley. They preserved in the first half of the season. They're like, oh, crap, we need him. And then, they're going to miss the playoffs. You can't always play preservation because the next thing you know, you're like, 5 years in, the guy's got to retire. Oh, we babied him and coddled him for the whole, career.
Yeah.
No, let him play, man. If he gets hurt, that's part of the game. But you got to, squeeze the blood out of the stone, or to say, just push, squeeze it all out, get it out. Yeah. So yeah, Josh Jacobs. So to recap here, high ceiling, tons of upside. And I don't know if you answered the question. Maybe I want you to answer it direct. If Mariota came in, is this going to hurt Josh Jacobs' value?
No, I don't think so. Not with as easy as John Gruden can set this up for Mariota. Okay. It's not like we have it's not like he's jumping into Andy Reid's offense and he's having to watch all these motions. There's so many pre-snap movements, all these deep crossing routes. speedy wide receivers all over the field. Like, what do you even do? Like, you know what I mean? You're getting thrown into a NASCAR race at that point, it feels like. But whenever it comes to John Gruden and what we're doing with this offense, I think everything's pretty simple and straightforward. For the most part, you're hitting your first read, or everything's pretty much designed to kind of fall into your lap. You kind of have, like, if it's a Josh Jacobs design play, Hunter Renfrow design play, it's pretty straightforward. So whenever Mariota comes in and Josh Jacobs is the dude, we have a good enough offensive line. And really, I mean, you kind of look at it in a sense of like a Lamar Jackson type thing. You start running some more RPOs. You start running things like kind of when Cam was over there with Christian McCaffrey, doing things like that to even maybe open up the running game a little bit more. And honestly, I think that if Mariota came in, he wouldn't be as comfortable in the passing game.
Right.
He wouldn't be as ready to go. I'm sure John Gruden wouldn't go out there and unleash him, in the full playbook. So, the go-to is going to be getting the ball to number 28. So if anything, it could help him.
Nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We're going to get you on more often. I wanted to hyper focus on Josh Jacobs. So there you heard it. I love Josh Jacobs as well this year. Hopefully I can get him in the second round. I think he's going to probably come off at the end of first round. A lot of people will be all over him this season, understandably so. Again, thank you for coming on. Everybody give him a follow. How do they find you? Where's the best place to find you if they're listening in the car?
You can just visit my website, RaiderCody.com. My podcast, my YouTube channel is connected to it. And you can follow me pretty much on all social media platforms. Just search Raider Cody.
Appreciate it, Raider Cody. Thank you for coming on. We're going to get you on more often. Make sure you guys click subscribe, a comment below. Are you drafting Josh Jacobs? Thanks for being on. Make sure you guys watch the entire Impact series. I've got it linked below. And we are out. Thank you.
See you guys.